Okay, so this is the last video on converting between fractions, decimals, and percentages, and it's a really nice last video because it's going to really test your understanding in converting between fractions, decimals, and percentages. So normally what I would do in classes, I would give this sheet to my students at the start of the lesson, see how many they get correct, and then I'd teach them everything that we've been through in the previous video. So if you need to refer to that, I definitely would do, because that's going to be really useful. And then we would do it again at the end of the lesson, and we would see how many they've improved by. Okay, and of course, as you guys do this, maybe on your screens at home, you can refer to the FDP, fractions, decimal, percentage, conversion triangle that I've got up here. And you can give this a go yourselves at first, initially, if you want to, okay? And then you can go to the end of the video and you can see how many of these you got correct. Of course, I'm going to go through each of these one by one. What I would say with this is, of course, when you convert, for example, the first one, 0.4 into a fraction and a percentage, the way that you do this is up to you. You could either go from decimal to a percentage and then to a fraction, or you could go from a decimal to a fraction to a percentage. There is a choice, okay? Sometimes it's easier to do different things, but you'll hopefully find your own way of doing it. And anyway, without further ado, I will get into it. And if you need to rewind and get any help, you can watch me go through any specific questions. So the first one, we've got 0.4. I'm going to begin by getting this into a fraction. So to get from a decimal to a fraction, we now know we do the number, which is 4, over the place value holder, okay, which the 4 is in the tenths column. So this is going to give you 4 over 10 initially, okay? And now, right, to get from a fraction into a percentage, you want to read top number if over 100. So I want to get this 4 over 10, so 4 over 10. I want to get the bottom number to be over 100. And I can do that nice and easily by simply multiplying through here by 10 on the bottom and times through by 10 on the top to give me 4 times 10 is equal to 40, so 40 over 100. And anything over 100 is a percentage, so it's going to be 40%. So 0.4 is the same thing as a fraction as 4 tenths, which is the same thing as a percentage as 40%. Now, really, right, 4 tenths, of course, we can simplify, right, 4 over 10. Let's do it like this. So 4 divided by 10, because I'm a bit of room here, lacking a bit of room. I can simplify that fraction by dividing by a common factor of 4 and 10, which I can do by dividing by 2 on the top and dividing by 2 on the bottom to give me 2 over 5. So equal to 2 over 5. So 4 tenths is the same thing as also 2 over 5. Okay? So there we go, that's the first one. I've got to get rid of the working, otherwise it will get a bit cramped up. Okay, so every time I do a new question, I'm going to have to erase my working. Question 2, so I've got 32% into a decimal and into a fraction. Now, I'm going to go for the first one from a percentage to a fraction, so from a percentage to a fraction. If my number, it's simply going to be my number over 100, because remember, percent simply means your number per 100. So this one's just going to simply be 32 over 100, okay? And 32 over 100 we can simplify because it's going to have a common factor, because it's definitely even, and I know that 32 and 100 are divisible by 4, so I can divide both of these by 4 and divide by 4. You could divide by 2 and then divide by 2 again, but 32 divided by 4 is equal to 8, and 100 divided by 4 is equal to 25. Okay, and we can simplify, again, no we can't, because there's no other common factors of 8 and 25. Okay, so 8 over 25 is your simplified fraction, so 8 over 25. So again, right, 32 over 100 is the same thing as this, but 8 over 25 is a better answer because it is simplified. Now, to get 32% into a decimal, or 8 and 25ths into a decimal, different ways that you can do this. Probably the way that I would do this is, well, if we're going to go from a percentage to a decimal, percentage to a decimal, we just go and divide your number by 100. So, right, 32, right, percent dividing through by 100 simply gives you 0.32. So just going to be 0.32 in this one. Okay, good. On to the next one. We've got 2/5 as a decimal and as a percentage. Now, it's up to you really what you do here. Let's go from a fraction to a percentage here. So let's go from the fraction to the percentage. And we do this, to do this, you need to get your top number, so you read the top number if over 100. Well, this isn't over 100 currently, but we can easily get it to be 100, okay, by timesing through the fraction, in this case, by timesing through by 20, because 5 by 20 is going to give you 100. Okay, so let's go and do this. So 2 times 20 is equal to 40, and 5 times 20 is equal to 100. So it's going to be 40 over 100, okay, and anything over 100, you can just read the top number as your percentage. So it's going to be 40%. So 40 percent, so 40%. But actually now this is also useful because, right, to get from a percentage to a decimal, and actually I just noticed, right, it's the same question as the one above in the first one, which is a little bit stupid. Anyway, but we'll go through it again. Right, 40%, right, from percentage to a decimal, percent to decimal, we just simply divide by 100. So it's going to be 40 divided by 100, we know is going to give you 0.40 or just 0.4. So 0.4 in there again. So I've just noticed that this first one is the same as the third one. Anyway, we'll keep going with the video because we're quite far in now. Okay, next one we've got 2 over 7. This one's going to be a little bit more awkward. Right, I'm going to begin by going from a fraction to a decimal to begin with. So going from a fraction to a decimal, so going down by here into a decimal. And we do this by doing your top number divided by the bottom number. Because remember, 2 over 7 means you're doing 2 divided by 7. So bus stop, we're saying how many 7s go into your number 2. And of course, 7 is bigger than 2, so we're going to have to add on here a few zeros and use a bit of bus stop here. And 7 is bigger than 2, of course, sorry. And to make it more easy, I'm going to write up my 7 times table that I can refer to over here. So 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, and 70. Now 7 into 2 is too big, so 0, bring up the decimal point, and then we carry that 2. 7 into 20 goes 1 2 times before it gets too big, so twice. I'm at 14, I want 20, so remainder 6. 7 into 60 is going to go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 times, so I get to 56. I want 60, so 4 is left over. 7 into 40 goes 1 2 3 4 5 times to get me to 35. I want 40, so I've got a 5 left over. 7 into 50 is going to go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 times to get me to 49 with 1 left over. 7 into 10 goes 1 time with 3 left over. 7 into 30 is going to go 1 2 3 4 times to get me to 28 with 2 left over. Actually, we saw this question on a previous video. Right now, you can see, which is good, I've got a 2 appearing again, and I've got a 2 here. The cycle is going to repeat again. I'll go through a few more just to show you, but it is going to repeat now between the 2 and the 4. But I'll keep going just to show you. So it's going to add on a few more zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Right, 7 into 20 goes twice, gets you to 14, remainder 6. So then we've got the 6 occurring again, okay? 7 into 60, okay, it's going to go 8 times, and then you get a remainder 56, you get a remainder of 4. You can see the 4's repeating again, so 7 into 40, it's going to go 5 times to get you to 35, remainder 5, and you can see, right, we've got 285, we keep doing it, you'd get the 714, okay, and it would just keep repeating again and again. So this one, right, 2 over 7 as a decimal is 0.285714, and because it repeats between the 2 and the 4, we can put the recurring over the 2 and the 4 to give you 0.285714. And there we go. And there we go. Now to get this decimal or this fraction into a percentage, well, let's look at this in different ways, right? If we want to get from a decimal to a percentage, okay, we simply, decimal to percentage, we multiply through your number by 100. So we'll be doing this number, which is 0.285714. We times it through by 100. Your decimal point is going to be moving forwards by 2 spaces because you've got the 2 zeros there. So up by 1, 2 into this point here to give you 28.5714. 28.5714, and it would keep repeating. Okay, after that 4, you get the 285714, 285714. Look, and it would keep repeating on forever and ever. If we round this kind of appropriately, maybe to one decimal place, I'm going to say it's going to go to 28.6%. If I round this, okay, I'm going to round it to rounded to 1 dp, 1 decimal place. Okay, so that one is definitely more of an awkward one, because right, to get 7 to be out of 100, also if you did it that way from a fraction to a percentage, you'd want to get the bottom number over 100, but you can't get 7 into 100 easily, right? So it's just an awkward percentage, but that's fine. We can round it sensibly to 1 decimal place to give you 28.6%. And that is a nice question, okay? That's a really nice question, and we can then move on now to the next one. Okay, so let's get rid of this, and let's get rid of this. There we go. Get rid of all of that. Good. Next one, we've got 15%. So we've got 15%, and we could go into a decimal or to a fraction. Let's go into a fraction first of all, because we know, right, to get from a fraction to a percentage to a fraction, we're going up this way, and it's simply going to be your number over 100, because remember, 15% means 15 per 100, cent meaning 100. So as a fraction, it's going to be 15 over 100, but you can simplify this fraction because 5 is a common factor of 15 and 100, so we can divide by 5 and divide by 5 on top and bottom to give you 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3, 100 divided by 5 is equal to 20, so 3 over 20, and then you can't simplify any further there, so that is your answer. So a better answer there is 3 out of 20. Now, as a decimal, okay, well, to get from a fraction to a decimal, we know fraction to a decimal, we just do the top number divided by the bottom number. Okay, or maybe looking at it in this way, from a percentage to a decimal, percentage to a decimal, you just divide by 100. Right, so 15 divided by 100 is equal to 0.15. So 0.15, and there we go. So that one is done, which is good. So on to the next one, which is we've got 0.125 as a fraction and then as a percentage. Now I'm going to go into a fraction first of all, so a decimal to a fraction up here. And we do that by doing the number over the place value holder. So we've got 0.125. So the number is 125. 125 over, well, that's the tenths column, the 2's in the 100ths column, and the 5's in the 1,000ths column. So it's going to be over 1,000. Okay, so that is your fraction. So it's just going to be 125 over 1,000. But again, right, you can divide here through at least, we can actually divide it by 25. So we can, I should have kept it there, we can do 125. You could divide 3 by 5, but 25 is also a common factor, so we can divide 125 by 25 and divide 1,000 by 25. Okay, so 125 divided by 25 is going to be equal to 5, and 1,000 divided by 25 is equal to 40. So 5 over 40, and we can divide it again because 5 and 40 have a common factor of 5. So we could have just divided straight through by 125. That was pretty silly. Anyway, we'll keep working through. So we can divide through again by 5 and divide through again by 5. We could have done divided straight through by 125 in hindsight. But anyway, 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1, and 40 divided by 5 is equal to 8. So this massive fraction, 125 over 1,000, is the same thing, simplified as 1 over 8. Okay? Which is nice. And now to get 1 over 8 into a percentage, well, different ways we can do this. We could go from a to get from a fraction to a percentage. It's going to be a bit awkward here because, right, read top number if over 100. Well, A isn't over 100 and 1,000 not over 100, and it's quite awkward to get over 100. So what I'm going to probably do is go from a decimal to a percentage. So go from a decimal to a percentage by simply multiplying through by 100. Okay, so I can go and do my decimal, which is 0.125, and then multiply it through by 100, which means my point is going to be shifting up by 1, 2 to here to give me 12.5%. So 12.5% goes in there. There we go. Good. On to the next one. Let's go to all this. We've got 3%. So let's put this, I'm going to go into a fraction first of all, because to get a percentage into a fraction, we read top number, this way, looking at the wrong thing, we do your number over 100. Because remember, percent means 3, percent means per 100. So simply going to be 3 over 100. And you can't simplify any further because there's no factors of 3 and 100. So that is good. And now to get either from a fraction to a decimal or percentage to a decimal, let's go for a percentage into a decimal. Okay, so we're going to be dividing through by 100. So it's going to be 3 divided by 100, which is going to be not 0.3, but going to be 0.03. Because if we have 3 and it's 3.0, you can't see it, but the point is there. If you're dividing by 100, you're going back by 2 spaces. The point's going to go here to give you 0.03. So 0.03 goes in there. Okay, good. On to the next one. We've got 9 out of 100. Okay, well, let's get this into a percentage. Nice and easy, because fraction to a percentage down here, you read the top number if over 100, which it is. Okay, we've got 9 over 100. Okay, so it's going to be 9%. So 9% goes in there. And then percentage to decimal, we can divide by 100. So we just do 9 divided by 100. Okay, which again is just going to be 0.09. So 0.09 can go in there. And then the last one looks a little bit more complex. We've got 0.4375. Okay, so let's go and get the decimal into a fraction by going up here, by doing the number over the place value holder. So we've got 0.4375. The 4's in the tenths column, the 3 is in the 100ths column, the 7's in the thousandths column, and the 5's in the 10,000ths column. So it's going to be your number, which is 4375 over 10,000. And this one's going to be quite awkward to simplify, but we'll do it one thing at a time. So just by looking at it, 5 is going to go into both these numbers because this ends in a 5. So we can divide through the top here by 5 and divide the bottom through here by 5. So I can put straight in here that this is the answer, but I can simplify it for sure. But let's write it in for the time being. So 4375 over 10,000. Note, that here I've written a fraction 4 over 10. It's just because I haven't got enough room. That, of course, means 4 over 10. Yeah, just to make sure that we're okay with that. So 5 into this. Let's use a bit of bus stop. So 5 into 4375. Well, 5 into 4 is too big, so we're going to carry up that 4. 5 into 43 is going to go 8 times, remainder 3. 5 into 37 is going to go 7 times, remainder 2. And 5 into 25 is going to go 5 times. So 875 over 10,000 divided by 5 is going to be 2,000. So 875 over 2,000. But again, I can divide through by 5 because I've got a 5 on the end of this number and ends in a 0, so I can divide through by 5 again. So 5 into 875 is going to go, let's see, 5 into 875 is going to go 5 into 8 goes 1 times, remainder 3. 5 into 37 goes 7 times, remainder 2. 5 into 25 goes 5 times, so 175. So 175 over 2,000 divided by 5 is going to be equal to 400. And again, I can divide through by 5 because 175 ends in 5 and 400 ends in a 0. I can divide by 5. A bit of bus stop again to see how many 5's go into 175. 5 into 1 is too big. Carry that 1. 5 into 17 goes 3 times, remainder 2. 5 into 25 goes 5 times, so 35. 35 over 400 divided by 5 is going to be equal to, what is it going to be equal to? 5 into 400. Okay, it's going to be equal to, too big, carry the 4, 8, 80. 8, 16, 24, 40, 80, of course, 80. Again, we can divide through by 5 because they're both divisible by 5, so let's divide through by 5 again and divide through by 5. 35 divided by 5 is going to be equal to 7, and 80 divided by 5 is going to be equal to 16. So there we go. Right, a bit of a humdinger. 7 over 16. So this simplified is 7 over 16. Wow, that was a big one. And we can check. I'm going to be a little bit crafty here and check. If I type it on my calculator, 7, just to make sure I haven't made a mistake, over 16, I should get, oh, sorry, I read the wrong thing. 7 over 7 divided by 16, enter it, I should get 0.4375, which is this number, which is good. And now to get this number, or this fraction, into a percentage, well, it's going to be easier to go from decimal to a percentage by simply multiplying through by 100. Okay, so it's going to be 0.4375 times by 100, okay, which means your decimal point is going to be effectively going up here by 2 spaces because you've got 2 zeros, okay, to give you 43.75%. So there we go, 43.75%. And that is, wow, 20 more minutes, okay? But this is, hopefully, was a really useful video. If you've fast forwarded to the end, a few things to note is that if you write your fractions like, for example, the first one as 4 over 10, you're not wrong, but always simplify your fractions. Okay, that is important. So really, that's your best answer with 40%, and this is your best answer with 0.32, 0.4, and 40%. We then had this recurring decimal, bit of an awkward one, which is this as a percentage, and because the decimal keeps repeating, right, it's non-terminating, I rounded it to 1 decimal place to make it sensible. Again, simplified fraction with this decimal, simplified fraction with this percentage, fraction with decimal, decimal with percentage, simplified fraction with percentage, okay? So hopefully that was useful. Of course, if you've got any of those wrong, you can rewind to the point that you need to, and thank you for watching.